Let me tell you the truth about Christianity. It is going to shake you. The word Christ is not of Greek origin. In Greek, it sounds like Christos, but the word was invented in Rome. It replaced the name Jesus and meant cross of the osen or cross of the asin, Christos. This word also contains a mocking implication from Rome. We have imposed upon Jesus a grave cross, a symbol of the victory of darkness over light. Not an equilateral cross, which is considered sacred, but a grave cross. A cross with an extended base should not even be placed on graves, as it symbolizes the underworld, the superiority of the demon over the middle and upper worlds. The events described in the Gospels did not take place 2,000 years ago, but in the Middle Ages, after one more global catastrophe. At that time, a small group of very dark souls organized themselves and destroyed or hid ancient books. Simultaneously, a distorted history of antiquity and the Middle Ages was created in the form of forged writings, some of which came from the printing presses of Rome. By the time of the coming of John the Baptist, the high priest of Judea had already been killed, as had many Judeans. Today they are almost absent from Israel. Mostly Hebrews live there. At that time, the Judeans were ruled by the Romans, including Herod I. John the Baptist's task at the time was to purify the unified teaching for all peoples from falsification. But most of the Judeans did not believe to what John said. Jesus then tried to turn them to the true faith. But even this did not help the Judeans to free their people from false religious servants who were serving the doctrine of demon at that time. When his time to fulfill God's mission came to an end, Jesus left Judea together with Magdalene. Through their descendants, the messenger of God will appear before the last judgment. The messengers on the level of Jesus are from another world and did not come to be killed by two-legged animals, as it happened to John the Baptist. His head was served on a platter to Herod Antipas, like the head of a slain lamb. Read more about this in the Gospel, according to Matthew 14, Mark 6, and Luke 9. After Jesus left Judea, a demon appeared in the form of Jesus and began performing miracles by healing people or raising the dead. The messengers of God do not perform such miracles. It is strictly forbidden by the Almighty. Otherwise, people would have taken the demons for messengers, because demons are capable of doing what people call miracles. Neither Buddha, nor John the Baptist, nor Jesus, nor Muhammad, or other messengers have ever performed such miracles, just like their apostles. As it was mentioned earlier, many knowledgeable people had already been murdered at that time, and the knowledge had been forgotten. Only John the Baptist was able to prevent the lies, but he was thrown into prison before the demon appeared in the form of Jesus in Judea. From prison, John the Baptist learned of the appearance of the one who called himself Jesus. He decided to find out if it was really Jesus or not. Through his disciples, he sent a question to the self-appointed one. "Are you the one?" The demon replied, "Judge for yourself based on my deeds. I heal and raise the dead." So John the Baptist understood that this was the demon's response, but not Jesus. As mentioned in the second part of the book, the representatives of the lower world can perform miracles, but they have no way of lying through a direct answer. Their lies therefore appear through symbols, images, or through people themselves. Even if they act through people, they cannot lie directly, but they create situations and representations that lead people to a false conclusion. That is why the demon did not answer directly with, "Yes, it is me." True Jesus, on the other hand, would have given a direct and clear answer according to the sacred knowledge of telling the truth. And so John the Baptist was killed. Jesus was invincible. So the demon decided to stage a false victory. In the guise of Jesus, he chose Judas from among the apostles, one who believed that it was actually Jesus who was speaking to him. The demon tasked Judas with the betrayal, convincing him that it was necessary. It was a difficult mission, but Judas obeyed and carried it out. It was important to the demon that the betrayal was committed by one of the apostles. It was not Jesus who ended up on the cross, but the demon who orchestrated the torture and death. And it was not Jesus who disappeared from the cave after his apparent death, but the demon who pretended to have ascended to heaven. Judas, on the other hand, did not hang himself out of fear of revenge from Jesus' followers, but out of an inability to go on living after fulfilling such a difficult mission to betray his teacher. Death by hanging was considered dishonorable. Judas could have taken his own life in another way, but he decided to hang himself from a tree to give the Judeans a hint. If they do not turn to God, they will disappear as a people from the book of life. The tree symbol refers to the tree of life. The shepherds of Rome, who are controlled by the demon, invented Paul and called him an apostle of Jesus. Through the invented figure of Paul, they introduced the word Christ and added it to the name Jesus. No other apostle is quoted as often as the invented Paul. In addition, they introduced the belief in Christ, referred to him as Lord, and accustomed people to the veneration of wooden figures, the cross, and painted images, icons. They made it a habit for people to wear a grave cross on their bodies and to perform religious rituals counterclockwise. They invented prayer texts and dedicated temples to so-called saints, yet never built a temple truly dedicated to the Almighty. I mean, none of these temples have names such as Temple of the Almighty, Temple of the Creator, Temple of the One, Temple of God, or Temple of the Absolute. At the same time, these idol worshippers dare to claim that they believe in the one God and placing a close relative beside the Almighty, whom they call the Son of the Almighty and Lord God. Many will now ask, why did Jesus allow the demon to use his image? The answer lies in the principle of the divine matrix. The matrix accepts the choice of the majority and reflects that choice back to humanity to help them recognize their mistakes, not as punishment, but as a lesson. The majority did never choose the messengers of God who were coming to different nations at different times, but instead sided with the servants of religion who distorted the Holy Scriptures and divided nations into religions and denominations. The majority chose this path through their disbelief, through their indifference towards others, and through their refusal to listen to the voice of God, their own conscience and reason. Every messenger appears among those peoples whose spiritual level matches the average level of humanity as a whole. At that time, the Judeans were at that level. Thus, other nations behaved like to the Judeans. They rejected the teachings of John the Baptist and Jesus and killed the apostles. At another time, it was the Arabs who became such a people, and therefore a messenger of God, Muhammad, appeared among them. However, the Arabs repeated the mistakes of the Judeans by killing Muhammad's apostles, and to this day, they have not fulfilled his covenant of a united ummah. All the messengers had a common goal. Each of them sought with their own words to purify the unified teaching from distortions. As the nation in which the messenger preaches behaves, so will the majority of humanity do. Therefore, it was not only the Judeans or the Arabs who rejected the messengers, but all of humanity has yet to accept them. This time, the average spiritual level of the world is in Russia. But even Russia has not aligned itself with the Almighty for the past 5 years. It has not fulfilled His will and remains under the rule of darkness, even though this could be the final mistake of the world. Hundreds of thousands of Russians have heard about the revealed book with the 7 lampstands of God, yet the overwhelming majority of these hundreds of thousands refuse to share the message from above, to pass on information about the revealed book. Politicians, bloggers, the media, and religious figures remain silent about this. My comrades and I are trying to awaken them, but the number of awakened individuals is growing slower than the rate at which the world is approaching the point of no return. And that is the choice of the world up to the present day. I appealed to the religious servants of the Jews, but they would not even look into the book, although it reveals the secret of the origin of the menorah and the 6-pointed star. I appealed to the religious servants of the Christians, but even for the past 5 years, they have not looked at the 7 lampstands from which the secret of the origin of the equilateral cross and the secret of the 8-pointed star, Bethlehem star, were revealed. I also appealed to the religious servants of the Muslims, but they also ignored the 7 lampstands from which the secret of the Rub al-Hizb symbol and the meaning of Kaaba was revealed. The current spiritual level of the world and its religious servants remains as low at the end of this teaching time as it was before. This is despite the fact that the book was foretold and all the prophecies of the end times have already been fulfilled. The Arabian desert is now getting covered with vegetation and rivers. The Earth's axis is shifting, redistributing pressure to different parts of the planet. Soon, the waters of the underground seas will rise to the Earth's surface. The signs from above continue to intensify through natural and man-made catastrophes. The world is on the brink of a third world war, but the majority of people remain on the side of the Satanists. A global catastrophe could have been averted if the world had heard about the fulcrum mechanism that I presented to humanity in 2016, according to the will of the Almighty. My warnings were ignored when I said that the Satanists would divide the nations into 2 equal parts, leading to the death of billions of people in a world war. And it's already beginning to happen. Even help of the new frequencies from the revealed 8-pointed star and the obvious proximity to the abyss prove weaker than the pride, ignorance, and disbelief of the servants of religion, politicians, bloggers, and the majority of ordinary people. The final phase of the exam time for every soul and the whole world has begun, and time is running out. Arm yourselves with the revealed gift of God that has the power to unite all nations. Arm yourselves with concern for the future of your children. Many people who are living today have already been examined in a similar world, but failed it. They were given a second chance. They were reborn on earth to use their additional lives to the further growth of their souls. This is why Earth's population has grown to several billions over the past few centuries. However, the majority continue to ignore the growth of their souls and remain at the level of biorobots, incapable of forming their own opinions and merely repeating the views of others as their own. Even in their prayers, they are not yet ready to speak directly with the Almighty, but continue to recite the texts of others. Wake up before the bombs you throw at each other come crashing down on you. Wake up before your children will curse you as you fail to protect them, because you remain in the territory of the Satanists. The territory of the Satanists is defined by indifference towards others, laziness, division, and the refusal to grow spiritually. You are already feeding your children poison. You allow them to use gadgets that dull their consciousness and put their souls to sleep. And the 5G towers are already standing outside your homes. The problem is not the demon itself. It lives in human souls who chose darkness by godlessness, indifference, ignorance, laziness, vanity, pride, and overconfidence. Awaken, brothers and sisters, so that your journey up to this time has not been in vain. You have gone through thousands of years, and you lived many lives to reach this moment. Awaken through love for your children, for your souls, for each other, for the animals, for nature, and for our Mother Earth. Accept the gift of God that helps you unite and purify the Holy Scriptures. I am not speaking now to the dead souls who are laughing listening to me now. They will return to dust on the day of judgment, but I am appealing to you, the majority of humanity. You have a sufficient level of soul to strive, to form your own opinions and make your own decisions. Stop trusting those who have led you into the abyss for centuries, dividing and setting you against each other. Make your choice for the Almighty by fulfilling His will and awakening the majority to His gift, uniting yourselves against the darkness. The nations have no one but themselves and the Almighty. Salvation lies in carrying out His will, in awakening and uniting around His revealed gift. Awaken and help awaken others. We are with God, and God is with us. With love to all of you, Aslan Warziadi.